brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Dusty Rhodes, wrestler. Virgil Riley Runnels, Jr., better known as the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, was an American professional wrestler, booker, and trainer who most notably worked for the National Wrestling Alliance, Jim Crockett Promotions, and the World Wrestling Federation, later known as the WWE. Following his retirement from wrestling, he made occasional on-air appearances on WWE television and pay-per-views, and worked as a backstage booker and producer in WWE's NXT developmental territory. Billed as the son of a plumber, Rhodes did not have a typical wrestler's physique. His character was that of the common man, known for the personality exhibited in his interviews. WWE Chairman Vince McMahon remarked that no wrestler personified the essence of charisma quite like Dusty Rhodes. Rhodes was a three-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and during his time in Jim Crockett Promotions, later known as WCW, he was a United States Heavyweight Champion, and multi-time World Television, World Tag Team, and World Six-Man Tag Team Champion. He also won many regional championships, and is one of 6 men inducted into each of the WWE, WCW, Professional Wrestling, and Wrestling Observer Newsletter Halls of Fame. His sons, Dustin and Cody Runnels, both pursued careers in professional wrestling and performed for WWE. Early career, 1967–1974. After graduating high school, Rhodes played baseball and football for West Texas State. Turning professional, Rhodes tried out for the American Football League's Boston Patriots, but was cut. He then played for the Hartford Charter Oaks in the Continental Football League until the team folded. In 1967, Rhodes saw an advertisement in the newspaper for Tony Santo's professional wrestling promotion Big Time Wrestling, based in Boston. Rhodes drove to Boston, and despite not having any wrestling experience, bluffed his way into working for the company by using his real-life friendships with Bobby Duncan and the Funk Brothers. Billed as Dusty Runnels, one of his first matches was for the BTW World Heavyweight title against champion Frank Scarpa in the Boston arena. Having little money, Rhodes slept in his car and spent Thanksgiving with Rufus R. Jones in a Boston soup kitchen. Rhodes moved on to Fritz von Erich's Texas Territory World Class Championship Wrestling in 1968. At that time also called Big Time Wrestling. It was in Texas, where Rhodes first adopted the ring name, Dusty Rhodes. Upon meeting Rhodes, Gary Hart suggested that he changed his ring name to Lonesome Rhodes, a character Andy Griffith portrayed in the film A Face in the Crowd. Rhodes reportedly replied, "Well, I don't plan on being lonesome. I think I'll stick with Dusty." Hart took an immediate liking to Rhodes and convinced Von Erich of the young wrestler's potential. Rhodes became a rule-breaking heel with Hart as his manager, teaming with Don Jardine, better known as the Spoiler. Later in 1968, Rhodes left Texas and entered the Kansas City territory, tagging with fellow Texan Dick Murdoch to form the tag team the Texas Outlaws. The team traveled both nationally and internationally, appearing in Big Time Wrestling, NWA Western States Sports, NWA Detroit, National Wrestling Federation, Championship Wrestling from Florida, World Championship Wrestling, Tri-State Wrestling, the American Wrestling Association, and International Wrestling Enterprise. National Wrestling Alliance Territories, 1974–1984. Rhodes did not have a typical wrestler's physique, but he was well known for his personality. charisma and interviews. In 1974, Rhodes' character became a hero after tag team partner Pac Song and manager Gary Hart turned on him during a match in Florida against Eddie and Mike Graham. This led him to break out as a solo wrestler, primarily in Florida, referring to himself as the American Dream, a working-class hero, and aligning himself with Eddie Graham. In 1977, Rhodes wrestled for Vince McMahon, Senior's Worldwide Wrestling Federation on and off for lengthy periods of time until 1981. During that time, Rhodes main evented twice in Madison Square Garden, both times challenging for the WWF Heavyweight Championship against reigning champion superstar Billy Graham. Rhodes won the first match on September 26 via countout, and lost the second, a Texas Death Match, on October 24. Graham won after a mid-ring collision, falling on Rhodes for the 3 count. Jim Crockett Promotions, 1985-1989. He eventually began working as a booker and wrestler with Jim Crockett Promotions in the Mid-Atlantic, which eventually purchased World Championship Wrestling, formerly Georgia Championship Wrestling. In 1983, he helped create the first Starrcade, what would become one of WCW's annual super shows. Rhodes also teamed with Magnum TA as America's Team, who opposed the Four Horsemen and the Russian Team in 1985. They were one of the more dominant tag teams in the promotion until 1986, when Magnum's career was ended in a car accident. Subsequently, he teamed with Nikita Koloff as the Superpowers. Rhodes was also a 2-time World Six-Man Tag Team Champion with the Road Warriors. Rhodes had feuds with Abdullah the Butcher, Pac Song, Terry Funk, Kevin Sullivan, Blackjack Mulligan, Nikita Koloff, Harley Race, Superstar Billy Graham, Crippler, Ray Stevens and, most notably, the Four Horsemen. Rhodes, Flair, and Race fought each other many times over the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Rhodes won the NWA World Heavyweight Championship 3 times, twice by defeating Race and once by defeating Flair. In October 1985, during his feud with Flair, Rhodes gave an interview that became known as his Hard Times promo. Arguably his most popular promo. First of all, I would to thank the many fans throughout this country that wrote cards and letters to Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, while I was down. Secondly, I want to thank Jim Crockett Promotions for waiting and Tarkeen the time, cause I know how important it was. Starrcade 85 it is to the wrestling fans, it is to Jim Crockett Promotions, and Dusty Rhodes the American Dream. With that wait, I got what I wanted, Ric Flair, the world's heavyweight champion. I don't have to say a whole lot more about the way I feel about Ric Flair. No respect, no honor. There is no honor amongst thieves in the first place. He put hard times on Dusty Rhodes and his family. You don't know what hard times are, Daddy. Hard times are when the textile workers around this country are out of work, they got 4 or 5 kids, and can't pay their wages, can't buy their food. Hard times are when the auto workers are out of work and they tell EM to go home. And hard times are when a man has worked at a job for 30 years, and they give him a watch, kick him in the butt and say, hey, a computer took your place, Daddy. That's hard times. That's hard times. And Ric Flair, you put hard times on this country by Tarkeen Dusty Rhodes out. That's hard times. And we all had hard times together, and I admit, I don't look like the athlete of the day supposed to look. My belly's just a little big. My hiney's a little big, but brother, I am bad. And they know I'm bad. There were two bad people. One was John Wayne and H.E.'s dead brother, and the other's right here. Nature Boy Ric Flair. The world's heavyweight title belongs to these people. IMMA, reach out right now. I want you at home to know my hand is touchin' your hand. For the gathering of the biggest body of people in this country, in this universe, all over the world now, reachin' out, because the love that was given me. And this time I will repay you now, because I will be the next world's heavyweight champion of this hard time blues. Dusty Rhodes Tour 85, and Ric Flair, Nature Boy. Let me leave you with this. One way to hurt Ric Flair is to take what he cherishes more than anything in the world, and that's the world's heavyweight title. I'm gone. Take it. I've been there twice. This time when I take it, Daddy, I'm gone. Take it for you. Let's gather for it. Don't let me down now, 'cause I came back for you. For that man upstairs that died 10-12 years ago and never got the opportunity to see a real world champion. And I'm proud of you, thank God I have you, and I love you. Love ya. The promo, which references out-of-work steel workers, factory runners, and other blue-collar individuals, apparently resonated with wrestling fans so much that people came to him in arenas in tears to thank him for honoring their plight. In 2015, an ESPN article referred to "Hard Times" as Rhodes' best interview, writing, "In just over 3 minutes, Rhodes fully encapsulated every ounce of his charm by endearing himself to blue-collar mid-America." During his stint as booker, JCP were engulfed in aggressive competition with the World Wrestling Federation. When the WWF introduced Mike Jones as Ted DiBiase's bodyguard, Bobby Heenan suggested to name the character Virgil as an inside joke on Dusty's real name. Also in the late 1980s, Rhodes became synonymous with what would become known as the Dusty Finish, a trick ending where a wrestler would win a match while the referee was knocked out, and the decision would be overturned. Rhodes is often considered to be one of the most innovative and creative bookers in the history of professional wrestling. As previously mentioned, his work in the development of supercards and gimmick matches did much to enhance the quality of entertainment and move the industry forward, as evident by other major promotions following with their own major cards and gimmicks. At the same time, however, he and JCP had an old-school philosophy that did not bode well with the changes that were brought with fast-moving media such as cable TV, etc. The long-standing storylines and the frequent use of the aforementioned Dusty Finish techniques that had worked well during the NWA's territorial days, had now started to leave many fans dissatisfied with the promotion's booking. Rhodes was fired after Starrcade '88, because of a taboo on-screen bloodletting during a November 26 altercation with the Road Warriors. Furious with the interference, Rhodes booked a storyline where Road Warrior Animal pulled a spike out of his shoulder pad and jammed it in Rhodes' eye, causing a severe laceration. Rhodes was then fired from WCW. Following this, Rhodes returned to Florida to compete in Championship Wrestling from Florida, where he captured the PWF Heavyweight Championship and also returned to the Hour for a few appearances. World Wrestling Federation, 1989-1991. In mid-1989, Rhodes came to the WWF as the yellow polka-dotted common man, Dusty Rhodes, a gimmick some felt was intended to humiliate him due to his synonymy with the rival JCP, WCW. Rhodes was introduced to WWF audiences through a series of vignettes where he would gregariously and enthusiastically perform working-class roles, eventually being recognized by others At the end of the skit, he was managed by Sapphire, who was intended to represent the common woman. During his early time in the WWF, Rhodes was embroiled in a heated storyline with Macho King Randy Savage and his manager, partner Sensational Queen Sherry, who in turn found a rival in Sapphire. After a confrontation between the two couples, Savage's ex-manager Miss Elizabeth allied herself with Rhodes and Sapphire, and was instrumental in helping them win the WWF's first mixed tag team match. During WrestleMania VI, Sapphire, however, left Rhodes during SummerSlam for the $1 Million Man's Money. Afterwards, Rhodes dropped the polka dots and feuded with DiBiase and Virgil, which also resulted in the national debut of his son Dustin at the 1991 Royal Rumble. Both departed the WWF shortly after, marking the end of Rhodes' career as a full-time in-ring competitor. Return to WCW and ECW, 1991-2001. Rhodes returned to WCW in 1991 as a member of WCW's booking committee, making his first appearance only 11 days after his last WWF appearance at the Royal Rumble. Booking disagreements between Rhodes and Ric Flair led to the latter's return to the WWF and the Big Gold Belt controversy. Rhodes also served as the on-screen manager of Ron Simmons from 1991 to 1992 and was in Simmons' corner on August 2, 1992 when he defeated Big Van Vader to win the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. He later joined the broadcast team, usually working with Tony Schiavone on Saturday night. He was paired with Schiavone and Bobby Heenan on pay-per-views. Rhodes was originally on the side of WCW when its battle with the New World Order began in 1996. At Sold Out 1998, Larry ZBYS ZKO asked Rhodes, who was working the PPV broadcast, to accompany him to the ring for his match against Scott Hall. ZBYS ZKO won the match by disqualification due to interference by Louis Spicolli. Rhodes entered the ring, delivering his trademark elbow smashes to Spicolli as ZBYS ZKO stood and grabbed Hall. Rhodes went to elbow Hall, but seemingly inadvertently hit ZBYS ZKO instead, turning heel in the process. Hall then pointed to Rhodes as he revealed an NWO shirt. The three began to drop repeated elbows on ZBYS ZKO before Rhodes announced, "That's tradition, WCW." By this, announcer Tony Schiavone left the broadcast booth in shock, but later returned ripping Rhodes for his actions for most of the rest of the night. As a member of the NWO, Rhodes served as the manager of Hall and Nash. This lasted until the November 30, 1998 episode of Monday Nitro, when Rhodes, who was guest refereeing a match between Barry Windham and Dean Malenko after being appointed by Eric Bischoff, defected back to WCW by disqualifying Windham and awarding the match to Malenko. Bischoff then fired Rhodes. He eventually left WCW and went to Extreme Championship Wrestling, where he put over former ECW World Champion, King of Old School, Steve Corino. Rhodes returned once more to WCW, reigniting his feud with Ric Flair. Thank you for watching. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.